This short video looks at calculating the average fixed cost. The objectives of this short video on average fixed cost are to learn the definition of average fixed cost, learn the formula for calculating the average fixed cost, learn the process to calculate the average fixed cost, and to interpret the graph of average fixed cost. The average fixed cost measures the amount of fixed cost per unit of production. The average fixed cost is found by dividing the total fixed cost by the total production. The actual formula is total fixed cost divided by total production. Here's a table for calculating average fixed cost. A copy of the table is available on the website if you want to print it out and work along with the video. The first column represents the total production of the good or service by the firm. In our example, Colleen and Boris's factory produces printers. The column represents the number of printers produced. For example, 5 represents the production of 5 printers. The second column represents the fixed cost of producing a number of printers. As you may remember from the video on fixed costs, the total fixed cost does not change with the level of production. For example, the total fixed cost is $10 when the firm produces 5 printers. The third column represents fixed costs. Let's see how to calculate the average fixed cost. Let's take a look at the process of calculating the average fixed cost. Instead of putting the full table on the screen, let's look at the first 4 rows, starting with the line with a production of 0. The average fixed cost cannot be calculated for the first row because the amount of total production is 0. Dividing by any number by 0 is undefined, and the result, either you need to enter NA or a dash in the first row of numbers for the average total cost. Let's move on to the next row where the firm produces 1 printer. Let's start by writing down the formula for the fixed cost, which is fixed cost divided by total production. Next, locate the fixed cost column in the table and locate the fixed cost in the formula. Notice that the second row of total fixed cost column, the total fixed cost column is 10. Next, substitute in $10 for the total fixed cost into the formula. Next, locate the total production column on the table and locate total production in the formula. Notice that the second row of numbers, the total production column, has a value of 1 in it. Now substitute 1 into the formula. Divide 10 by 1, which gives 10. Transfer the 10 to the second row of numbers under the average fixed cost column. Next, let's calculate the average fixed cost for the next row of numbers. If you're feeling comfortable with the process, you might wish to pause the video and try to work the problem on your own, and then watch the video to see if you have the procedure down. If you're uncomfortable with the process, feel free to continue watching. You might consider watching a step and then pausing the video and writing the step down on a sheet of paper. So let's write down the formula for the average fixed cost. Locate the total fixed cost on the table. Notice that the third row of numbers on the total fixed cost column is 10. Next, substitute 10 in for the total fixed cost in the formula. Locate the total production for the good, in our case printers, on the table and in the formula. Notice that the third row of numbers, the total production is 2. Next, replace total production in the formula with 2. Next, divide 10 by 2, which is 5. Next, place the 5 into the third row of numbers under the average fixed cost column. Next, locate the total fixed cost on the table and in the formula. Notice that the fourth row of numbers, the total fixed cost column has 10 in it. Next, substitute in 10 for the total fixed cost in the formula. Locate the production for the good on the table and in the formula. Notice that the fourth row of numbers, total production is 3. Next, place the total production in the formula with 3. Divide 10 by 3, which is equal to 3.33, rounded off to 2 digits. Next, place 3.33 into the fourth row of numbers. If we'd like to practice the calculations on your own, pause the video and print out the table from the website. After printing out the table, complete the table. If you need some help doing the calculations, please feel to rewind the video and review the procedure. You want to pause the video and check your answers. Before discussing the particular features of the graph of average fixed costs, let's take a minute to understand the structure of the graph. The horizontal axis, or the x-axis, represents total production or total output. Total production or total output increases as one moves from left to right. The vertical axis, or the y-axis, represents the average fixed costs. Average fixed costs increase as one moves from 0 upwards. The key point is to notice that average fixed costs decrease or decline as total production or total output increases. Notice what happens when total production increases from 1 unit of production to 2 units of production. The average fixed cost drops from $10 to $5 per unit. In general, there is a trend of as more is produced, the average fixed cost declines. In this video, you learned that the average fixed cost is the fixed cost per unit of production or output. The average fixed cost is fixed cost divided by total production. To calculate the average fixed cost, you will need to divide the fixed cost by the total production. 4. Average fixed cost declines or decreases as the firm produces more of the good.